deep dive where emotions meet the stars and spirituality takes center stage. Join Sherianna Boyle and Carmen Schott as they explore astrology, mental health, manifesting, and so much more. Two women on a spiritual path, sharing wisdom, stories, and the magic of sisterhood. Ready to dive deep? Let's begin.
Ready to manifest your dreams? Carmen and Sherianna invite you to take a deep dive. Join this dynamic duo each month for guided manifesting practices and personalized astrological insights from Carmen. Don't miss this chance to align with the energy of the new moon. Visit sheriannaboyle.com/newmoonmanifesting to learn more and sign up today.
Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm Sherianna.
And I'm Carmen Schott. This is a show about astrology, emotions, and spirituality.
Yes, each week we're talking to you about what's going on astrologically. Carmen's going to be sharing that, and I'll be sharing how it impacts our emotions, health, relationships, and both Carmen and I will be offering you tools for the second half of the show.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's happening this week? It is Sunday, April 6th. Yes. So this is your weekly update, everyone. We're doing this every single week. And today we'll focus on April 6th
through 13.
Yeah. So what's happening?
So this coming week, to prepare, guys, some good news. We've been talking about the planet Mercury being retrograde for the past month. It is going direct on April 7th. Just to remind everyone, though, that it's still what we call in the shadow period for about a week after this. But you will notice a change in communication and all of the things we've been talking about that have been impacting our travel, our plans, our how people interpret what we're saying. So it is direct. So communications will be flowing again, guys. And it's a wonderful thing. And it's going direct in the sign of Pisces. And then on April 12th, we have a full moon in Libra. And the full moon is always a time where we're more emotional, a little bit more sensitive to our environment. And we feel we can go through different moods, emotions. Could be some people get really energized during a full moon and they have trouble sleeping. They're up all night thinking. Even animals, you can see them do the same, pets during a full moon. Some people get tired. They want to sleep more, take a nap, which it may not be like normal because you may never take naps. You're like, why am I sleepy? So the full moon affects everyone, even if you don't believe in astrology. It is a science and it affects the tides of the ocean. So the moon is our emotional nature and it affects us. So in astrology. So full moon in Libra is really going to be a time to reassess and kind of focus on our relationships, because Libra rules marriage and partnership, and it rules commitment, and it rules compromise and being fair and thinking about other people, not just ourselves and what we want. And so that's kind of going to be the energy of it's going to affect us for about 3 to 4 days, guys. Actually, a couple days before the moon is full, you'll be feeling it. So I'd say around April 10, and then especially up until the 13th, you'll still be feeling that full moon energy. And that's a very big thing this week that I want everybody to look for. And just to be a little more, you may notice little arguments and things happening with your partner or your spouse or people, business partners as well. Anyone that you partner with, intimate relationships specifically, issues might pop up, or you may just really want to spend more time with your partner as well during this full moon. And then the same day, April 12th, the planet of love, Venus, goes direct. So this is good because it's been retrograde as well with Mercury. And that's been messing up things because, in love and relationships, communication is one of the top reasons for relationship problems. That and money, how we spend money, those top two. But communication is the big one for couples and partnerships. So the planet of love is going direct, which means we'll be able to express ourselves more, our emotions and feelings. But it also it helps because when Venus is retrograde, it kind of brings up old issues that have been going on in the relationship, and it forces us to face them and deal with them. And I've been going through that recently with my own husband, from things from the past he's been bringing up, and I'm like, this is Venus retrograde. I'm like, that was 5 years ago, buddy. I'm like, why are you bringing this up, right? And I'm like laughing. I'm like, please, Venus, go direct any day now. So I'm happy April 12th, Venus is direct, so we can move forward and our love relationship issues. And because typically you may have found, if you look back and reflect the past month or so, with Venus retrograde, old issues come back to be dealt with, and people from your past and people you haven't, maybe old flames, you may even see, run into the child or the spouse of one of your ex-boyfriends from high school, things like that is Venus retrograde. These old love things pop back and pop in, or your mom or dad might mention, oh, I saw Bob, your high school sweetheart at the store. And they're like, why are you telling me this? I've been married 20 years, right? So, these things with Venus come back into play from our past with relationships and love. And so it's going to be direct, guys. So we're going to be feeling a lot better emotionally. Our creativity is going to be flowing better because Venus is all about creativity as well, and art and beauty and things like that. So that's going to be easier for us to do our creative things. If you're in a creative career field, or you feel like you've been blocked lately, it's going to really be a good time to tap into that. And those are the key energies this week that I see, with astrology.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. So we've got that full moon, and it's about relationships this week, all types of relationships, as well as any kind of partnerships and maybe some old things resurfacing. I was just thinking, as you were talking, Carmen, I think that I don't know what you think about this in terms of relationships. It's important to have things in common with people. And sometimes that kind of falls off, in terms of your relationships, remembering what do you have in common with each other, and can you kind of spark that up? I recently said to my husband, I've been calling them activities. We need to have an activity, but we did start an activity, and we take kickboxing together.
That's neat.
And every time we do it, even though it's been many, many years, we do it once a week. It reminds me of when we were dating. We did that kind of stuff. We would, do a class or something like that. And I think that's something to think about when it comes to relationships and compromise and learning to work things out, because sometimes it gets heavy in relationships, especially when past stuff is coming up. And I think remembering to have some fun and why you connected to begin with. I mean, even with a friendship, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. I feel that way too with me and my husband, because most of the time, we marry someone or get in relationships with people that are opposite of us. There's usually a different personality. There's something that makes us very different, but then there's usually some
which drives you nuts after a while, right?
I know, exactly. So it's like the common thing that you first have in common, and with and my husband and I was laughing because I told him this exact thing when Venus was retrograde. I'm like, we need to go play tennis like we used to when we used to date. When we were dating, we'd go play tennis. And that was a big thing. Even when we were first married, the first year or two, we would go play tennis, and then we would play basketball. We would shoot hoops or whatever. And that was the one thing we had in common, because we have like nothing else in common, guys, except that was sports. Now, when you get older, you're not playing tennis or working out unless you really make a effort to make, some hobby. And he used to like to golf, but I don't like golfing. So it's like, maybe we just need to go play tennis again, just hit the ball around for fun on the weekend, So I'm trying to get him to do that, because it kind of connects you to fun. Having, what do we used to do for fun as a couple, especially when you become an empty nester like I am. My daughter's now out of the house. I only had one child. So it's like me and him. and it's like, reconnecting, getting back to, those little things we share in common.
The energy can get stale. And they always say too, for those of you out there that are single, yes, that you want to meet someone doing what you enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
You don't want to go try to meet someone doing something that you actually don't like.
Yeah.
And that, there's an energy there. So if you like, I know people that do this, I don't know if this in your area, Carmen, but they do the line dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Is that big in your area? It's kind of big.
That's a big thing here. The different, I have a friend from high school whose parents, they've done dance classes their whole life. They do line dancing, country dance. They're always dancing. They're so cute. I mean, they're married like 60 years now, and they're still out there dancing together. I see videos on Facebook, and it's like, that was their thing when they first met too, when they first got married, and they take classes and do the dance stuff. Some, my husband would never take a dance class with me, but some people might, or you're someone you like, but I think that's kind of like with these astrology, dating, compatibility apps that people get on that are single, looking for, that's common.
And so now April 12th with Venus going direct, does that mean it's a good time for people to get out there and date?
Yeah, to meet new people. Absolutely. It is a good time. And think of what you have in common. Yeah. What do you like to do? And then if you're not into doing like an app, to meet people or a compatibility, there's, Christian Mingle, there's even a app for farmers. There's some, people that are farmers looking for a partner. There's all kinds of matchmaking.
Farmer wants a wife.
Yeah. And they're looking for somebody who wants to live in the middle of nowhere and they have animals and land and everything. So if you want that, there's people looking for people that are like them that want to, live not in the city or whatever, And so in astrology, this is the thing about astrology in life too. You can see it in normal life, but they always say opposites attract, right? That's kind of a thing that, in psychology, they're, why? Because we tend to be drawn to people that possess something that we like or that we wish we were like or could do. Like
sometimes we are drawn to people because what I find in my emotional detox work is they mirror one of our parents.
Well, that too.
How often do you realize, oh my gosh, I married my mother, I married my father. And that is emotional detox work right there, where you need to, you need to work through some of those. It's not that you messed up and married the wrong person. In fact, they're probably the perfect person to help you work some of those things out. So that's just like the emotional detox, but that's interesting. In astrology, you marry your opposite too.
You do, because it's like, if you're shy, and I'll give my daughter an example. She's shy. She's not really a big communicator. She's just not. She's more serious, and so she's been really drawn to this Gemini that's very outgoing, very talkative, has all these friends, wants to learn about people, wants to know why they think they, and she just really loves this guy, and they're just opposites, and we're just friends. She said, we're just friends, but I want him in my life forever. I just like to be around him,
Aww,
and it he makes her happy, being around him because
he's her mother.
Well, you know what I told her? I said that he is a lot like me. Do you know I met this kid? And I'm like, him and I clicked. I like him. I said, I like him because him and I talked, like, just hit it off verbally, talking about, he's like, the architecture, that is a pretty building. We were just like talking on campus, and she said, Mom, I can't believe how much you guys were talking. She said to me, and I said, that's because he's like me. And so, it's kind of funny, in a way.
It is.
You can
it
see
is interesting. We think, there's so many different laws of energy involved in meeting someone and why this is happening in your life. So everything has a purpose. We do need to take a quick break. If you're just joining us on Deep Dive, it's Sherianna Carmen here, just giving you your weekly astrology update, and we'll be right back with some tips for how to navigate this week. Hang in there.
Hi,
this is Carmen Turner Schott, author and psychological astrologer. My newest books are Your Astrological Energy and Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. Both offer powerful insights to help you understand your emotions and your spiritual journey through astrology. Discover how your birth chart can help you heal, transform, and become more resilient. Visit my website today at carmenturnershott.com and grab your copies on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and online stores.
Looking to transform your life? Sherianna Boyle, author of 11 powerful books, invites you to take a deep dive. Explore her emotional detox series, discover manifesting with energy in action, and connect with spirit in her latest book, Just Ask Spirit. Start your journey today. Find all her books at sheriannaboyle.com.
Welcome back to Deep Dive. We're doing some catching up here. What's happening this week astrologically. Now we're going to give you some tips. Just a quick reminder, everyone, that Carmen and I do a once a month new moon manifesting circle. You can join us at sheriannaboyle.com/new moon manifesting. Check it out there. So here we are. So we've got this full moon, which can bring out a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
Some people don't sleep.
Yes, and it's going to be pretty intense with relationship stuff, and how we show love is Venus, and so Venus going direct, it's going to be all about kind of like your love language comes to mind. Like for me, as a tip is like, the five love languages is a great book, and there's the 5 love languages of parents and children. There's all kinds of books on the love languages now, but it really What's
your love language, Carmen?
I love the love language stuff. Like I
do you know yours?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to teach this class with military families, with couples, and I used to try to get my husband to come because he's the one I wanted to learn him to learn the love languages, because like I would try to implement them. So the biggest love language, I am words of affirmation and physical touch. Those are 2, and. Okay. People that are words of affirmation, they like to hear, I love you. They like to hear, thank you. Thanks for cooking. Thanks for, you're doing a good job. Oh, I'm proud of you. Oh, they want communication, and they want to hearing words makes them feel you care. And then people that are physical touch, it's not about sexuality so much. It's about intimacy, and it's about touch, like affection. So they like to maybe when you come home from work, give them a hug. Basic, like so simple. And that's what I tell my husband. I just want you to say, I love you, and give me a hug. I'm easy. I would say I'm an easy person to please. And then people that are quality time, they want to spend time with you where you're not on your iPhone, you're not distracted, you're not, doing other things with the kids. It's just you and them and quality time. And they want to just hang out with you, watch a movie, go somewhere together, whatever, go for a drive. It could be something simple, go for a walk together. Doesn't have to be a big romantic thing. They just want to have that quality time with their loved ones. And then there's receiving gifts. These are people that they feel love when you buy them a gift, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It could be just like that you showed you care, like a nice little card, or you make them a card, or you get them they mentioned they really wanted something, and you get it for them and surprise them.
Flowers or something like that.
Yeah. And our parent, and then I'll tell the last one, and then I'll tell a funny story. But the other one is, the last one is acts of service. This is what my husband is. And acts of service is opposite of my love language, because acts of service, they do practical things to show love. They are not, they take the trash out, they do the dishes, they help cook, they change the baby's diaper.
Oh, you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language.
Okay. That's acts of service. And that's my husband. And I'm like, he said, I don't care. I remember this when we were first married, 5-6 years. He's like, I don't care if you hug me and tell me you love me. He said, that doesn't make me feel you love me. He said, that doesn't do anything for me. I want you to help me get the car fixed, or help me mow, help me out in the yard and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? He's like, I like it when you get up and cook me breakfast at 5.
Oh, he probably shouldn't have married a writer.
I know, right? And I'm like, what? And so
my husband's always like, you always manage to get a book deal right around raking season.
That's what he said to me. You said you're going to help me with the yard. He just brought this up this week. And you're always in there. I got to write my book. You said, I got to write my book. It's always a new book. He said, yeah, you're too busy to come out in the yard. I'm like, that's because I actually am. It's the only time I have to get stuff
when
done.
there's a deadline, there's a deadline,
There's
right?
a deadline.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. No, I'm kind of like a little bit of all of those. I'm in
we
terms
have
of
them all.
I feel like a little bit of everything. Yeah. Interesting.
Your top two. When you take the test, you can go online to the 5lovelanguages.com and there's a test you can take and it'll tell you what your top scores are. So you usually have one that's your primary that you go to and then you have your secondary love language. Now this is the kicker with it. This is how you feel loved, but how you show love to others can be a different language. Okay. So you may want a hug and I love you, but when you show love, you like to buy gifts. You want to buy someone something. And so that's kind of what I saw with, you can see it with your mom and dad, your parents, your kids.
Right. Right.
Like I like to buy people gifts. And so my daughter, she's like, Mom, I don't want you to buy me things. She doesn't like things. She doesn't want me to buy, she's like, my husband doesn't want you to buy her anything. And I'm like, but that's how I show love, get her a little book or no, she'd say, you're wasting money. Quit buying anything. So sometimes we have to learn to speak what our partner or kids or parents' language is, because it's not going to be how we feel love.
My mother-in-law is constantly buying us things. I'm realizing that's her love language. The problem is she gets things on sale, so it's like never the right size.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not an extra small. Yes. I don't know where you came up with that, but it was on sale, right? And I'm like, I don't care. It's like, but that I'm realizing now that you're talking, that's her love language, that buying little whatever it is on sale, even though I don't need it. Interesting. This is interesting, everyone. So, what I'm getting here is that this is kind of get to know your love language. That's what we're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, it is everything. This is, if you know the love languages, and you figure out your own first, know yourself, and then you figure out your partners, have them take the test, or someone you're dating or your kids or whoever. If you're single, at least know your love language, because then you'll know what type of people you're going to attract to. Because
now this is, but here's the thing. This is where my mind goes, because a lot of people that I work with in my world, and you work with, I'm too sure in your world, are either dealing with a depression or some level of depression or anxiety, especially with stress, money. You talked about money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that going to throw that test off? That's what I hear, because tests are only, well, of course, I'm like got my research hat on. Remember that don't take it to, like, there's other things you have to consider. Yeah. If somebody's like, I don't know what my love language is, right? I mean, are you dealing with someone who may be going through a little bit of depression? That's not uncommon, especially if there's been a financial hit or something in the family. Yeah.
It's kind of like what reminds me of with the love languages, they really are pretty solid. They don't change. They're not your primary is not gonna, it's who you are. It's like how you feel love from people and how you show love. Like your love language is how you give it, it's not going to change. Whereas like the 4 lenses, that's a test, like where you could be blue, orange, gold, or green. That test can change based on what you're going through in your life, because if you're in a job that's really, really stressful and you're having to be really organized, your gold score may be higher than you normally would like it to be. Like you want to be a blue and an orange and just wing it and be all about people, but you can't, because you have to be in charge. So you may have a higher gold score at some area of your life. Then you take the 4 lenses again, and your blue's higher, and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I like. I'm a blue. But sometimes the scores do alter with some of those tests. But
I'm curious, and I'm also curious about the full moon, how that impacts the way people view things. I mean, we could just go on and on with this topic. Yeah. We only have about a minute and a half left to the show, sure. But do you have any thoughts about that? Because it skews people a little, this full moon stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you're, I think the thing is sometimes people's emotional tank gets empty, and that's what they kind of talk about in the book too. And when your emotional tank is empty, what people typically do is try to get other people to fill their tank. But that's not fair. We can't expect other people to fulfill and fill up our tank fully. I mean, we have to fill up our own tank as much as we can and do the things that fill us up. Self-care, eating right, cuddling with our dog, whatever it is, going out to eat at a nice restaurant, whatever makes you can fill that tank up a little bit, because sometimes our partners are depressed or they're going through stress at work and they can
only give as much as they can give. Yeah.
And they're not filling our tank, and they're not speaking.
This is about filling your tank this week, folks. You got the full moon coming in. Venus is going direct. We hope that you enjoyed this week's deep dive. Join us next Sunday for another episode. Remember, you can catch all the replays on YouTube. Go to Deep Dive with Carmen and Sherianna. Make sure you subscribe to the episode and check out our New Moon Circle at SheriannaBoyle.com/New Moon Manifesting. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for tuning into Deep Dive with Sherianna Boyle and Carmen Turner Schott. If today's episode inspired you, don't forget to share, subscribe, and leave us a review. For more insights and resources, visit CarmenTurnerSchott.com and SheriannaBoyle.com. Until next time, keep diving deep into your soul's journey.